Well, hello. Just ripped your ears out. Welcome everyone. Prophet Moonstruck is me, sent by the moon and on this earth, in this reality, to just shake things up a little bit, right? Now, it's not a job I wanted to pick, but hey, if somebody's gonna pick it, why not be me? Anyway, how are you doing today? It's a nice Sunday. In some places, warmth has started to catch up. We're in the month of February. Most of you received the salaries, the income, the paycheck this Friday, or you're gonna receive it this week, which is a cause for celebration for everyone, and congratulations for making it another month with creating some money. Now. Is dating dead? Has dating ended? For me, most likely. For some of you, no. For the majority of you, Unfortunately, yeah. Especially if we're gonna just sit around and do nothing. Let me just put a picture of dating. Let me just put a picture with dating here. Let me just, can I find a wholesome picture? A wholesome picture. A wholesome picture with dating. Let me just go on Pixabay. I do enjoy Pixabay because it allows you to pick stunning free images in royalty free stock pictures. I don't know what this is, the thing that they say on the website, but I'm using it nonetheless a lot. Let's see if I can find something to really cheer us up. This should do it. This should do it properly. Okay. Oh, this reminds me of my my childhood. No, it doesn't, but there we go. There we go. The relationships are here. This is a picture of the relationships today. The Sims. The finger. Let's not forget the finger. This is from Marty Bum. We all know the finger by this time. If the woman points the finger, of course, eventually it's gonna end. Because that finger is locked on you and it's like a snake. It's like the snake of the Bible. That finger. It's like she's talking to a specific point inside you. Right? She's not pointing at the whole you. She's pointing at something she sees. But sometimes you don't see it. And sometimes she doesn't see it either, but she's pointing at something. And as you know, every time you point at something, you become more interested. Interesting. But in truth, theoretically, dating is not dead. In practice, it's so dead. It's so dead. Like nowadays, the only way you could get someone is if the other one is already in a relationship, which is pretty disgusting, by the way, to use another man's pocket pussy. Or I don't know how it is for the woman, but this seems to be the way to do it. Like here in the West, I mostly got interactions with women that were already in relationships and wanted to try something new, I guess. However, I did not go into that. Even though I should, because now I'm bitter that I didn't. Though I don't like going into someone else's business because it's someone else's business. You want someone else's business to thrive, right? Even though you see that it's not thriving, who are you to? Who are you to crumble it to the ground? But true. It does happen. For one reason or the other. Lack of attention, lack of closeness in a long time. Some underlying problems, some underlying trauma. It happens. It happens all the time. But still, I see that people do not see this as a bad thing. as not as a bad thing, but as a thing that should not have any attention, should not be involved in. It's like your first demon summonings. Like, you shouldn't, and people don't do it. But hey, you draw their circle up, you draw those lines, you say those incantations, and boom, now you're full of demons and wonder why the world is going to shit. But I even asked Chat AI if dating is lost, and the response I got is, dating as a social activity has not been lost. It continues to exist and be a part of people's lives. However, the way people approach dating has evolved over time and may continue to change as society evolves. It's up to individuals to determine what works best for them in terms of seeking informal romantic relationships. Now, as I said earlier, it appears these are the only ways to form social relationships, just to go onto your neighbor's backyard and try to scoop something up. Because apparently the world is not big enough. The world is not big enough, you just have to search over there. But the thing that deranges me about all this, that annoys me about all this, is that women usually, like, you don't have to smiling try to get something if you're already having someone, should you? I know some of us are beautiful, and you can't keep your eyes from us, but engaging further into this is just pure sin. It's just like going with the devil. And we know you like your dark triad types, but you like your Lucifer type persons, but can you not? We don't really enjoy, some of us don't really enjoy losing souls, being part of creating more demons into this world. And I guess that's where the whole story with Lilith and Adam goes. It's as old as the world, as the story itself, because you know that in some scriptures Lilith was the first woman of Adam. They were created at the same time, but Lilith wanted to be on top, and of course Adam was on top and didn't want to change his opinion on that, so they just didn't get along. So Lilith ran, and as she ran, God sent some angels after her, and since she knew God's name, she promised that if she will rest independent, she will not touch Adam's sons or daughters, Adam's seed, let's call it. But now we see a different a turnaround into the story, as Lilith, the children of Lilith, are now touching Adam's seed, are taking it to their side, which could only mean one thing: the total apocalypse, the dating apocalypse. Since after she left, Again, I didn't mention that God agreed to this pact, but only if Lilith was going to agree that she would lose 100 babies every day, which apparently it's a fair it's a fair exchange for her to keep her liberty, but we can't judge them. She is what she is, and Adam was what he was. So, as she was going to birth demons after demon after demon in the Red Sea, and those demons flew around the earth and still do. Now they are forming and bonding together, forgetting the pact that Lilith made, and many are touching and corrupting the seed of Adam. That is why nowadays you cannot see any more of the light, because it's it's being succumbed by the darkness. It's being sucked out with or without volition from the poor souls that cannot abstain themselves. And it's pretty true. It's a dating apocalypse nowadays, and you might wonder why. That was one of the reasons. That might be one of the reasons, since that pact with God that Lilith made was supposed to keep men and women and the daughters and sons of Lilith separated. Only few that engaged in such things were being cursed, but now everyone is getting cursed, isn't it? Everything's going everything is going ape shit everywhere. Nobody knows why, what's happening. Everyone just tries to get everything for what they got. And you wonder where that trait comes from. Well, that trait comes from wanting. As we spoke in earlier streams, wanting is one of the sins, one of the greatest sins, the predecessors of sins, the starting point of sins. Wanting without deserving, without doing, without actually needing, just pure want, because hey, that's how society made you. They made you want. They make you want money. They make you want lavish lifestyle. They make you want to be right in every situation, even though we know you're right or wrong. Just wanting without actually having it. And usually all the wise men of the old say only one thing: the less you want, the more you'll have, because the more you'll want, the less you'll have. It's simple, because every time you want, you're gonna want more and more and more. It will never be enough. I guess this is the solipsism of women who never have enough, always go monkey branching. But now it goes to men as well, because they also want more and never have nothing. Right? Never have enough. Even though sometimes just being is enough. But it's hard to be nowadays, since you can't even have a normal conversation, can you? Because there are so many there are so many, let's say, baggage. There is such a huge baggage in every relationship nowadays that you have to just ignore. Like, you had to ignore the fact that some government imposed medicine was not effective and not necessary for the majority of the people. Like, you have to just forget about that. It happened. Don't talk about it. They were right. You were wrong. Now continue giving. That's the basic of every relationship, right? Now, forget about my past. Forget about all those cans of worms, all those worms coming out from my past, just crawling underneath your skin, just sipping inside you. Don't talk about that. Just look at me. Look at me. I'm beautiful. Look at me dance on TikTok. Yeah, isn't it great? Isn't life great? Oh, look, we're having money from some simps. Isn't that great? Don't worry about them seeing me naked. Don't worry about me spreading everything, showing anything. Just enjoy my presence. Just enjoy my presence. And at the same time, there's also the other side of the coin, which is the man that said, "Hey, don't worry about where this money comes from. Don't worry about this weird lifestyle change from a poor man to a seemingly rich man that has to go at 4 a.m. with a bunch of other dudes to get some more money. They're going on a hunt, right? And no, they're just going on a ride. They're going on a ride, switching and giving certain medicamentation as well. Is the same as the government thing. Don't worry about that. Let's not talk about that. We're okay now, right? We're living good. This is a good thing, right? Right? Yes, it's this is the reason why we're living in a dating apocalypse. Or are we living now? The only way to survive it is to simply become a complete psychopath and don't care about anything. Do not care about the past, do not care about the present, do not even care about the future, do not even care about where you are and what's going on inside you or around you. Just look at me. I'm pretty. That's the whole conversation we're having. And of course this isn't going to last as long because beauty never lasts. Well, but there's no more creation and there's no more point to creating something that goes further. But Nietzsche put it very good when he said that. Nietzsche or Jung, I don't know which one of it called for the last man, but here I am, the last man, the one that's the same as everyone, that has no will of his own, no need of his own, no interest of his own, but it's all given to him by its peers, because that's where many of the persons are at the moment, not just me, where you're supposed to conform to, not to just to conform, to like what others like, so you can be accepted in the group of the people that like nothing. And it's annoying, but it is what it is, and we know how much it is what it is. It's used today. You just take what you can get and hope you won't die. That's what the world has come to. Just take something and hope you won't die. Of course, the parents won't be able to see their nephews, or what do you call it, nieces. Usually they won't get to know them because they will be usually isolated and sent to retirement homes. Nobody will ever see anyone. The memory will get so small that it will last for 2 generations. As people are having no children, or children so late that their parents weren't able to see them, and so they will have only one, let's say, one generation of parents, or one generation of people around there that they can talk to about what's going on in the family, right? It will be just the parents, the uncles, and the things, but grandmas, oh, they're gonna be dead. All the grandmas are gonna be dead. And I think it's already happening. I'm sure it's already happening. Many of them are dying. They're seeing their children, and that's all. They're seeing their they're seeing their line end most of the time. But at least they're having fun, right? At least they're having fun. Well, that's happening. Oh my god, that's so. Oh, that's so fucked up. Oh. But hey, it is possible. It is still possible to light the fire around, right? To keep the fire running. Because today, let me tell you, today I made a fire. Since it's been 2 years since I seen a fire. As time goes on, we see less and less the fire. A fire, like a wood fire, right? We're living in the cities. We barely get out. People barely get out of the cities. And can you make a fire in your apartment? No, everything's electric. You don't even have a gas stove. So you can watch at least a semblance of a fire. Nobody can actually make a fire anymore. Well, I think they can. I think people still can, because I saw there were still some groups that were practicing creating tents and making fires, playing around. There is still hope of something going on, but this will just prolong the fall of the, what's it called, the whore of Babylon, which is, in some stories, the whore of Babylon is described as a woman, but it's actually more, by many people's opinion and interest, it's a wave. It's a way of living. It's a way of the society. It's a wave. As people use women to gain money, and they use women to gain money, to gain power, to just give everything to the possibility of creating more and more women that will attract the money of the weak-minded people. And the more women we have like that, and the more attractive they are, well, and the more isolated men become, well, of course they're gonna become more weak-minded, because you can quickly become weak-minded in the sense of interpersonal relationships, as you don't have access to those kind of women or any kind of woman, and then you'll be willing to pay, not to touch, not for her to do something to you, which I find very weird, to pay something, to pay someone, to pay a couple of pixels to form in a sexual creature. That is weird. All right, so let's see. Let's go on into the because I spoke for a long time. I wanted to just finish my first story. Let's see. Did COVID affect the dating world? Yes. Well, I think we all know that COVID affected the dating world, especially since during COVID the dating apps just exploded because girls didn't know where to find men, so they went on the dating apps. Because that's how girls work. They just like, hey, I can't go outside, but I can go on this app where I can see men and they come to my place. Bam. And it exploded. I think during COVID they tripled or quadrupled their income during the COVID era, Tinder. But not just Tinder, every dating app, because nobody knew how to interact with each other. Nobody, for some reason, everybody believed that, and I think me as well, like you can't interact with people anymore. Like, as everything was put on TV, it was supposed to, as I said once again, and I will repeat it once more, that first month when everything went to shit, there was only one thing to do. There was 1 month to take all the observations, to do all the calculation, to understand what is going on as we're stopping it. It was supposed to be only 2 weeks to flatten the car, but it was supposed to be a uniting event in which people from all over the world can gather data about this illness, see what's affecting, see what's not affecting, and see if it can be controlled, if they can find a cure, because that's the first steps. But at the same time, humans should understand how to cooperate with each other during that time. Should understand that cooperation is more needed, not less needed during this time. And not cooperation with the state, but cooperation with each other. Since it was supposed to be a way of gathering data, you gather data from your family, you gather data from the TV, you understand a little bit how it works, if it's lethal, if it's not lethal, if it's harming, what is it doing, because it's not just the doctors that can understand what's going on with this, since they're human and we're human as well. We can understand a little bit what's going on. And when you see that the famous death boat that was at that time having a lot of victims, where everybody was old, you could have already extrapolated that the old have really good chance of encountering these problems. So what do you do with the old people? Can they afford to live on their own? Well, most of them couldn't. That's why some people did some charity. However, the ones that were not on the system, and the ones that were not going to gain money from the government, as they were not working, they got separated, and now they couldn't meet new people. They had to go on a different path. They have to go on the path of survival, which by all the motivational and all the spiritual, new age spiritual things, teachers, it's not a good thing going on survival mode. You shouldn't go on survival mode. You should go on prosperity mode. But how do you go on prosperity mode when your ability to gain money, to move, to produce something is blocked by the government and by the people online sustaining these programs without any considerations for those that cannot. So as these groups are forming, as these sides are forming, you are now in the situation where you get into a romantic, or you're trying to get into a romantic relationship with the person that wanted to feel more safe by sacrificing you, and you don't get to talk about it. You just have to suck it in, because that's all you get, and that's how you become a simp, which is pretty damn weird and shaky, isn't it? And nobody still talks about this. That's why I want that Sam Harris and Bret Weinstein. Actually, it is time. It is time for us to just settle down and have a good old debate, like a real debate, even, let's call it not just a debate, but a trial. It's like one of those old trials in which the whole world is watching what we did and how much it affected the world, crippled the world without just going at each other's throats, and actually accepting what we did and the fucked up things we did, the fuck ups we did, and see if we can find a way further. Because where is it? Oh, I had one. Oh, where is it? Oh, let me just, I had a video. Okay, there we go. Cause oh, here it is. Cause at some point apparently we were supposed to be in all in this together, right? We're supposed to be all in this together. But some people were on this to win. Some people were in this to just move along and learn something. But let's get Scott Adams, which was a very he had an opinion about some people that didn't want to just suck up and accept what's going on into life. And we're going deep into this because of course it's a deep and complicated problem. It has a lot of roots that are unsolved, and just going into this and realizing how bad we did as a civilization on this is the way forward, because yeah, we have to go bottom up, not top down, and we're gonna talk about that. Actually, let's talk about that right now so we understand the concepts to further along into the further streams. Bottom up versus top down. All right, let's get down here. As soon as this links okay. Is this good? Is this good? Oh, no. This is not good. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm sorry, I didn't. This. Okay. Is this a video? Oh, yeah, we got a video from Khan Academy. We learn about bottom up versus top down processing, which as soon as I get these silhouettes out of the way, we're gonna learn about it right now. And with this information, everyone should know about this information, and the more people know about this, the further we can further our cause into an actual potential society that can work together.
Let's look at the difference between top-down and bottom-up processing. So, what is bottom-up processing?
Okay, so he's writing.
Bottom-up processing basically begins with the stimulus. So let's imagine that we're looking at something, or let's say I'm looking at a banana. The banana is sitting there and it influences what we perceive. So stimulus influences what we perceive, our perception. So if I know absolutely nothing about something, then the stimulus, or whatever it is that I'm looking at, yet I don't know anything about, I've never seen it, I don't have any preconceived cognitive constructs about what it is I'm looking at, the stimulus basically is influencing my perception.
You can use this as, let's say, a different person, a new person, or a new event into your life.
So, for example, let's imagine that I'm looking at a cockpit of a plane. I'm not a pilot, so I'm not really too familiar with everything, and everything kind of looks fairly confusing. So basically all the different stimuli, so this stimulus, a bunch of gauges and this rudder looking thing, I'm basically looking at all the different little parts of something that is new and novel to me and trying to kind of comprehend what it is that I'm looking at. So this is bottom up. This is when you start with no preconceived idea of what it is that you're looking at and allow the stimulus to influence your perception of what it is that you're looking at. So bottom-up processing is data-driven, and your perception of what it is that you're looking at directs your cognitive awareness of the object. So in contrast, top-down processing basically uses your background knowledge. So it uses your background knowledge to influence perception. So let's look at this example over here. So what we're actually seeing are a bunch of circles. They're just a bunch of circles, and then inside the circle there are a couple of lines drawn. So we're looking at this set of circles, these white circles with lines drawn inside of them. We're creating this cube. We're basically taking these lines and then putting them together in order to create a cube, even though the stimulus itself, which is the circles with the lines, actually doesn't draw a cube, because there are these black spaces over here and there's absolutely nothing in the black spaces. But our brains are basically taking this information and using our knowledge of cubes and what they're supposed to look like, we're recreating a cube despite a lack of a cube actually being present in the image. So that's top-down processing, is using your background information, your background knowledge, your learning, your expectations in order to influence what it is that we're perceiving. So in other words, it's theory-driven. We look at this and we assume that they're trying to represent a cube even though one's not actually drawn there. And we're using that theory in order to shape our cognitive understanding of what it is that we're looking at. So our perception, our behavior is influenced by our expectations, which is top-down processing. So we're using what's already in our heads in order to perceive what it is that we're looking at. Whereas in bottom-up processing, we're using the stimulus itself in order to drive our perception. So another good example of top-down processing would be Where's Waldo? So in Where's Waldo, we have a mental idea of what we're trying to do, which is to find Waldo amidst this really jumbled mess of a picture. So if we were using bottom-up processing in order to look at this, we would just be seeing a whole bunch of little people, and we wouldn't really be goal-driven. We wouldn't be trying to do anything. But with top-down processing, we have a goal, and we're able to look through here to find Waldo.
All right. Now that we know a little bit of how it works, that's how dating works as well sometimes. Oh, well, a lot. Now it's top-down processing. Like, you see someone, you make a presumption, and you think you know what you're seeing. And, of course, if something changes, well, not something changes, if someone shows some things that you didn't perceive before or you didn't have knowledge before, then the picture shifts and changes. You're processing the cube that you saw. It's not a cube anymore, but it's a triangle or a pyramid, right? That's the thing. And what happened with the COVID thing, it was that it created two camps, and there were the top ups and the bottom ups, and we didn't need a split. We were already had different splits in different kind of areas, but this, we got a common point in which we split our ideas, and we had proponents of getting money from selling and promoting certain kind of drugs just to prove their point.
Having said as clearly as possible that the anti-vax people seem to be the winners, I want you to hear that clearly. The anti-vax people appear to be the winners.
Like it was a contest. We nobody wanted to win. We just wanted to get over with.
The anti-vaxxers clearly are the winners at this point, and I think it'll probably stay that way. And I don't want to put any shade on that whatsoever. They came out the best. They have the winning position. The unvaccinated have a current advantage because they feel better. The thing they're not worrying about is what I have to worry about, which is, I wonder if that vaccination 5 years from now, because really the anti-vaxxers, I think, were really just distrustful of big companies and big government.
No, it made no sense. It made no sense when we saw the data. We got bottom up. We saw that the young people do not get these problems, and putting another problem, another twist into your life, an unexpected twist like an ex or a new a new person while you're in a relationship, a new romantic interest while you're in a relationship, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
That's never wrong. It's never wrong to distrust government. It's never wrong to distrust big companies. Right? So if you just took the position, let's just distrust everything the government did, well, you won.
It's not about the government. It's being able to properly extrapolate some data and know what the bad outcomes can be if you continue your way of living or if you're accepting a new set of bad outcomes by introducing a new variable into the system.
You won. You won completely. I did not end up in the right place. Agree? You would all agree with that, right? I did not end up in the right place. The right place would be natural immunity, no vaccination.
We don't know if that was the right. We didn't know that was the right place. We didn't want this to be the outcome. We just decided that this was the best option at the moment.
You should take victory, and I should take defeat. We can agree on that, right? That my position is now the weakest, and your position has gone from the weakest to the strongest, and that we can just say that's true. The people who didn't get vaxxed are absolutely in the winning position. You win.
Now that's a top-down discussion, because we didn't talk about it. It wasn't ever about winning. It's in a relationship. It's not about winning. It's creating, right? It's creating something, going further from a disagreement.
You win. You are the winners. You are the winners. All right. Let me say that part with no ambiguity. You won. You won.
All right. So now that we talked about the COVID thing and how it created like a mental war, let's call it, between things that were, again, meh. These were opinions that were supposed to be taken in the family based on the extrapolated data that everyone get into their relationships. Like, are you having some symptoms? Like during the symptoms it was normal that if you had symptoms and if you can stay apart, you would stay apart. You won't go trying to pick up chicks while you're having symptoms, even though I'm sure many did. Because of course nobody wants to be alone when they're sick. But this proved to us that yes, when you'll be sick, you'll be alone. And maybe you will die alone. And this was a wake-up call for many people as they saw others doing everything they can to just get someone else to be by their side, even though they didn't really need that person to be there, just in case, just in case. Now I'm guilty of that as well. I'm guilty of that as well. I had my quarantine as well, but and I got it on a dating app. Well, of course we kind of knew about each other before, but we're going into dating apps now because as the COVID started and dating apps starting being used more and more frequently, we got to the point where they stirred up the algorithm. They stirred up the algorithm, so people will have to pay for getting the chance to be shown to other people, since the free version does literally makes no sense to as a product anymore. Even though some may say that yeah, you get some ads, like who buys things from Tinder ads? Nobody. So it's not in their interest to actually make you match with persons around you, as many people think, and as every girl thinks, I guess. The majority of girls on Tinder think, like you go on Tinder and you're seeing all the people around. No, you're seeing all the people around that had tweaks to the algorithm, that had paid to be shown more often, and those people that are paying to be shown more often they have more professional photos for since they are investing as much. And we know that it's not been proven, but by the extrapolated data from Tinder and all the majority of dating apps, the girls swipe on like 5% or 7% of all the male, of all the attractive male, the ones that they consider the most attractive. So most of them go to that 7% of men, while the rest are left hanging all the time. And with the boom of these dating apps, of course, there came the free validation from strangers from everywhere. Validations just by being there, just by existing. You got free validation. You got everything you liked. There were people lining up in your DMs, telling you one thing or the other, everything to get you on the side. And as they get that validation, as everyone gets that validation, that dopamine levels goes up, and the more often you get that dopamine hit, the more often you'll want it. So you'll be drained, your body would be drained, and everyone's body got drained, as they are expecting that kind of validation every day. So many girls are now used to getting validation every day from everyone. So if you're not the kind of person that can validate her every day and care about her, then then you're done, kiddo. You're done. Of course, they're having like hundreds now. You go into triple digits body count. The body counts that not even cemeteries have. Village cemeteries have nowadays. That's the body count that they get. because they got used to that validation. As you're like, as any addiction, that's always an addiction. Validation is like an addiction as well. I know I'm addicted to cigarettes, right? So the more cigarettes I get, the more cigarettes I need as well. Even if I throw up, not throw up, but feel that I'm throwing up, like I'm gonna get a liquid, but I'm still going to get that cigarette. I'm gonna get some coffee or something to go with it. I'm just gonna spice up that dopamine receptors and fry them so they could be satisfied. And that's what many are doing on dating apps nowadays. Like, they're frying up their brains to reach a certain point that they cannot reach anymore without having like hundreds of men during a lifetime. And of course, one person is not enough anymore. Like, you cannot slowly build. That's the top down, you know? Like, you reach it at some point of validation that it's already fried. You could probably get that with some weird circumstances, but as time goes on and you get to 30 and hit the wall, you're not attractive anymore. That starts to fall down, and then you're trying to get the bottom up position, but you're already up. You can only go top down, and as you go top down, the ones that are going bottom up cannot reach a middle point. You cannot reach a middle point, everyone, anymore. And that's where the apocalypse began. At the point where you are not able anymore to go, to form a relationship properly just by noticing things just a little bit, a little talk, starting away, going step by step into a marathon. No, you're sprinting to arrive at a point. If you arrive at that point, you jump from a bridge into the water to get that high and hope that the person you'll meet will give you the same high as jumping from a bridge, which is sometimes possible, but the other person as well knows that can see, actually. Many can see. I think many of you can see and will see at some point the ones that have jumped from bridges that were adrenaline junkies, dopamine junkies, that have done so many bridge jumping that they forgot how to walk. It's the 1,000 cock stare. It's called the 1,000 cock stare. And when you see that, it's a certain lack of, I don't know what, but you can see that she's not there anymore. She's just going somewhere, anywhere to just get something, some kind of attention that she wants, not just any attention, but the attention that she wants, but she will never get again, because you got to the higher point, like in chicken. What do you mean, like the chicken stare? Like how the chicken stares? How she looks like she doesn't look at anything, but looks at everything? If you're meaning by that, then yeah, that's the 1,000 cock stare. like you've seen, she's been places, and her yes, you are right, 1,000 chicken, male chicken, 1,000 male chicken. But no, it's just you know something's broken there, something's missing from there. There is a light that's not there anymore. That's the thing. There is a fire that's not running anymore, and there is no amount of wood will make that fire burn. You can just put some gasoline on it. It will burn for 2 seconds in a fire, but then just extinguish itself. But the wood won't keep the fire on. Which brings me back to wood, burning wood. Because as I said earlier, but didn't finish my story, I made a fire today because a fire is good to see from now and then. And as I was sitting there alone into the park, the crappy weather that was looking like it was about to rain, but it was just me and my wood and an axe and a lighter, of course, willing to make a fire, as everything seemed already useless. Like, I shouldn't even be there normally. One person would just have to look at the sky and say, hey, you know what, just try this next time, try this next week, don't do it. The sun is not here, the weather seems sucky and ready to rain. You will just waste your time trying to make a fire right here. But I did not listen to that weather, and cut the wood. Finally managed to set it on fire once again, proving to myself that, hey, I can still do a fire, and listen to the wood crackle there, starting the fire, my wood starting the fire, and the fire burning with a passion, the wood burning with an unseen passion. I looked at it, I listened to it. The smoke started coming in my eyes, following me, meaning once again that the gypsy woman loved me. That's what they say in our country. Like, if you manage to start a fire easily, and then if the smoke follows you, then that means the gypsy woman love you, secretly love you. And as the fire was there, it reminded me of the old times, like the younger times when we used to do fires, and how everyone was just centered around the fire, you know? Even though if the fire was just burning on itself, everyone was setting camp, they were preparing food, children playing around, but it always revolves around the fire. Like, it keeps you grounded, you know, it keeps you around a certain territory, knowing where you are and knowing that the fire burns, and at some point you will use that fire, the wood of that fire, to make some food. Which brought me back to today's world, where the only fire burning around us is technology, the fire of technology. We have pixels, we have music, we have computers that are lighting up and kids playing around. But that doesn't seem to be a thing that you can be comfortable, that will feed you later on, that will keep you warm. It will keep you entertained though. It will keep you entertained for years, 4 hours, for the rest of your life. It will keep you entertained, distracted from the things that should actually go on, like sitting around the fire and knowing where you are, being centered around that point, and being with someone or your loved ones, knowing that you are there. You are there in a certain point, just exchanging. You're not on the internet, you're not thinking about different scenarios or waiting for different things to happen. You're not waiting to get entertained. You're just entertaining yourselves. Because you are there. You have no fear of the cold. You have no fear of the fire running out without the only fear you have with fire running out is if you didn't brought enough wood, or if you didn't scavenge enough wood to keep that fire alive. But as that fire was alive and is alive, it did show that it could keep you without even looking at it, without even just noticing it, with just being around it. With just being around it, you would know that there was actually something going on in the background that that was useful in the future. That was useful even 5 years from now, as my friend Radu Morar just said. Have no fear, prophet is here. But my friend here, he always said that when he has an issue or something bothers him, he just said, like, if this doesn't matter in 5 years, then I shouldn't worry about it. And it's a pretty good saying. It's a pretty good way of seeing things. And now we have to think about the fire between persons, right? What kind of fire is there nowadays? Like, is there a fire that you know that in 5 years will matter? Not so much, because what's dating has gotten up to? You just see a person, it's night, you're mentally disabled by the alcohol or drugs and improper alimentation that you had, and you see someone, you getting the fuzzy wuzzies, and then the next day, of course, it wasn't what you imagined, because you were thinking top down, right? You saw something, you had the label, and if that didn't work properly, then you're wondering to yourself what is going on. And as you see that confusion, you don't actually see what's going on, you just see your confusion, and you're aroused by that confusion. You're interested in that confusion. And then you're continuing to live a confused life. And the more confused everyone is, they're not actually around the same reality, but labeled reality by everyone. And the problem with this kind of labeling, this kind of top-down labeling, which happens a lot nowadays, is that the information we have, the background, is quite limited. A lot. It's limited everywhere, especially since we know so little about someone's past and how they grew up, how their interaction were, that we cannot center ourselves around a common point. And what would be a common point nowadays? That is the question that is the question whose answer could prove to be the saving one. A certain hobby, of course. A certain dog, of course. A certain point of view on what people should or should not do, never. And this is the day we're living in which each person tries to move the other person to make the other persons do what they say they should do. The others say they should do, you know? Because that's what we're seeing in activism nowadays, with Greta as well. Like, if you want to be an activist, you know what a true person that loves the earth so much and wants it to be so properly grown, so the future would be so beautiful, so clean as they want to, as she wants to. The only way she could do that was to go at school, learn, and actually invent some proper devices or Babylon-ish kind of wave and thinking that will, but not Babylon, but that the concept of the whore of Babylon, you know? A concept of producing things that will enhance the exchange of the pollutants and the absorption of those pollutants into designated areas while reducing the waste into, let's say, the ocean or the cities. That would be the activism too. If you love the planet that much, if you want it to be that safe, just go to school, go do engineering, do some engineering, learn some engineering so you can optimize the way buildings are created, the way energy plants work, so you can find new energy sources that will be less expensive, less harmful to the planet. Don't go telling people what they should do. But yeah, they should also teach financial culture and social culture in school. But here's the thing with social culture. Who gets in charge of telling you how you should act or not? Because it is indeed very good, but social culture towards the planet, I guess. Social culture towards ourselves, how you should treat yourself and the planet. I guess that's a small step to start on, right? Like there are many places where people are not taught. I don't want to say their value, because that's too much, too over the top, but their possibilities and what they should and should not accept, what are the ways they are manipulated by some kind of actions. Because even if you agree or not, everyone is at one point manipulating or trying to manipulate other people, in the opportunity of grabbing more of their energy with less price. The solution, of course, is for each to increase the price of their energy, of their own energy, and the quantity of energy that one produces and the quality of energy that one produces, to not be able to be manipulated by others, that their work isn't good enough, right? Experts, they should teach like how it is in every country. Now, again, I understand the point. It is true that there should be people telling, like, teaching people how things are going in every country, but it is hard to pinpoint the expert in a certain area of how to do it. Indeed, there needs, I think a good way to select those experts would be to be like an expert in living good, an expert in middle class, lower class, but that would just strengthen the class system, which is there for a reason. It is there for people to ascend from one class to another, but many are not told that. It's very sad. And a spiritual class, at least, not a powerful one, since now everyone goes for the money. But the thing with experts, we've seen the thing with experts. That's the problem with experts, because we had our medical experts that in the face of them being wrong, it would be hard for them to recognize that they're wrong, since they have based their whole life into continuing and studying and evolving certain theories based on a wrong assumption. And it's possible to. We saw that it was possible. And the only experts that could do this is the parents themselves. I don't know how to say this, but they have to become the experts themselves, the teachers themselves. But again, since we don't have, barely anyone has financial culture, they are not able to gain enough, so they would be at home more time than they are now, since they are 8 hours, 9 hours away from home. Both of them. How can they teach their children that? Indeed, when they find some of the things that would help from the bottom up, of course, when they find these kinds of tricks and tips, they could implement them in school in the first years of school, they should try it at least. And they should after that we can see the results. But that means that the whole schooling system should be open to let's call it a new concept of having a thing that it's not related to school but related to life. It's like trying to implement the school of life into the actual school, which would be cool, but it's quite risky, and it's still not profitable for the people that are trying to make money, because in the long run it is. You are investing in generations that are learning to invest their time better into more profitable jobs and solutions and hobbies and lifestyles, instead of just going for the money. Indeed, it is an utopia, but the apple of discord there is that who decides who those experts are? Because if we get, for example, Tate, we can, if we declare a person that has a lot of money, we declare them a financial expert, like Tate did, instead of being able to label him in a different way as a man that profited from, again, selling the girls and that he was with to other people, to other desperate men, and taking them for what they got, then that is not a true expert. And the thing is, it's not, it would be good, it would be a utopia, of course, if people actually had a way to introduce this in schools, these kinds of experts. But the thing is, the people have to become experts first and learn how to get in there. But now, since the schools are just a ripoff, especially universities where everyone goes there to get into debt and cripple their mindset, as you learn, the only thing you learn there is that you need to suck some dick if you're a girl for good grades. You have to cheat on the exams, or get very, very kiss ass with the professor if you want to get some A, because some A's, you have to buy their manuals to give them some profit, and you will have to listen to their opinions, which should not be allowed in schools. Like, opinions it's not like that they shouldn't be allowed, they shouldn't be believed. Like, they shouldn't be listened to, actually. That's the point. Those opinions that have nothing to do with a certain subject at school shouldn't be involved. Like, many are enrolling diversity students over normal students based on their opinion that the diverse students are inferior to, let's say, white students, even though the Asian ones are the ones that are best, the Indians and the Chinese are always the best at school. Nowadays, you have to have some tokenisms. You have to have token students everywhere, and you will have to speak with those people, even though you know they're token people. You have to speak with them and not speak about the fact that they were just allowed there because of a certain background. That's the thing. In every relationship nowadays is you having to know what's going on and not talk about it, and actually not even considering it. You just have to lie to yourself and the other person and accept the lies they tell you and hope you will have a good interaction. And that's not going very well, right? That can't go anywhere in every interaction, because that's not how the game theory works, right? Game theory works that in a way that everyone in in a negotiation, in a situation, in an interaction, can get and should try to get the very best outcome. Like, there is the best outcome for the both persons, for both persons in every situation. There is actually a formula if you want to study it, but that means you have to know what you can get, what you want to get, and the actual variables around you, like variables and things you can use. And if you're lying, you can't use lies as tools to create a bridge with a different person, right? Like, you're both trying to say, okay, we can build a house. Let's say you meet up with someone, right? And say, hey, I have a hammer. And the other person say, because I am born here, I should have 100 nails. Now, both of you, the best outcome is to use the hammer and the nails to put them on the ground, and I don't know, what do you do with the nails besides Jesus? But let's say you put 100 nails in a line. You want to create a line of nails, right? Now, the nails won't sit on themselves. You need a hammer. And with the hammer alone, you can't make a line of nails. So you need a hammer and the nails. But what if I say that... what if... Alright, we accepted that one person says that they have a hammer, one person says they have nails. And then it goes, you come with the hammer, you have the hammer, you're ready to put the nails, but the first thing you see is that they are not nails that you think they were actually some tiny pieces of copper that look like nails, but they weren't nails. They were just labeled as nails because everybody does that nowadays. For example, Now, how can you make a line of nails into the ground if you don't have nails? You have a hammer and you have nail-like nails, nail-like nails, nail-like nails that after each hammer hit, they won't go into the ground, they will just flatten. And that way, you won't ever get a good exchange, right? That kind of lies, like improperly labeling something as something else can lead to disaster, a total disaster. And game theory, of course, is a thing that should be explained in many schools, like at least the basics, to know that there is the best you can reach a better answer if you want something, if you really want something and the other person wants something as well, and you know everyone wants something as well, and playing the game is the best way to live, and to know that you're playing a game, you're not actually in a war of making the other person believe something or give you something. By that I mean manipulation. And knowing that it's a game, you can learn to play, but nobody plays nowadays, especially not around the fire, but push some buttons. They actually just push buttons nowadays in the games and saying stuff, waiting for some reactions, and that's it. That's not a game. That's just either... It's mostly a coin toss nowadays. You're just tossing coins. And I don't know if relationships can hold if your style of living is tossing coins and sometimes even lying to yourself, like, yeah, it was you toss a coin and you say, yeah, it's heads, and it goes down, it's not heads, but you say it's heads anyway, and the other person believes you that it was heads. And you can see here the whole disruption about life. Where did you learn about game theory? I don't think you ever learned about game theory. Like I recently heard about it, but yeah, the game theory was, in the old times, the game theory was what, like, realizing if that person is an actual, let's say, Christian or an actual Muslim or not, or were they just in college, maybe you did if the other person was a Muslim, if he is violent, or if he is just around to keep it up. That's why when, for example, in chimp colonies, let's get behavioral biology here as well. Let's talk about all the complicated things. Why not? We're going about the chimpanzees, which are the creators of what do you call it? Racial cleansing, where you have chimps that have no role into the communities, so they just gang up and border their territory, and if they see a new chimp, they will try tear it to pieces. They will tear the new chimp to pieces, because that chimp is not part of the tribe. However, what if that didn't happen? And what if when that new chip is coming on, it's actually coming with a request or an idea for something productive to actually happen? What then? Well, we don't know where chimps would have been if they started eating burned meat. That would increase their their brain size. But anyway, I think this settles it. The whole situation. At the end of the day, it's just a game. However, what you do in your life, what you do in your day-to-day life, sets the rules and the play style for the game, the next game, every game you're going to encounter. The first thing you will have to remember is that nobody plays the game, and you can play the game. Nobody treats it as a game, but they're treating it like fun. They're treating it like fun, and you can use that and actually create a game. Create a personal game in every situation. Gamify your life if you want. But for you to remember that this is point zero in every relationship, because it's not a game anymore, it's just a transaction, and a transaction is not a game, since before you reach a transaction, there must be an exchange of information before a transaction. And since people are forgetting about an actual exchange of real or unreal information before the transaction, dating is of course doomed, because now it became just a transaction. You're hot, I want hotness and money. Give me hotness and money. If I don't get that, I will be fucked up, and of course I will go once again and search it and accept that those 100 babies that will die, because that's what the Liliths nowadays are doing. After every trauma of picking the wrong situation to be in, the wrong person to be with, many try to accept what they did and have to go bottom up from there and create further to go bottom up, see what happened, like the actual situations and the actual actions, and go bottom up from there. And from there they can, probably live a better life, a more improved life, instead of getting through that trauma, putting it as the fault of the other person, or disassociating from it, not accepting it, and thinking they did good, accepting the fact that they're gonna lose 100 of their children will die every day from there on, in exchange for that belief. And the more those beliefs gather, the more babies they kill, potential babies, but not imaginary babies, just potential babies. And they lose the light, because the more babies you put on the fire, the more liquid gets on the fire, and the more liquid gets on the fire, even a technological one, an electrical fire, will have a short circuit. And That is the apocalypse, everyone. Now I hope you enjoyed this. We went all over the place. We went all over the place today. And I'm sorry if I confused you. If you have some questions, you can put them in the comments after the stream has ended. Because it's 1 hour and 45, and as we know, I'm trying to keep it at 1 hour and 45. But I have the thing is, there are a lot of camps at work. The camps have been divided so much that the players don't even know the games they're playing. So it has to go from the bottom up. We have to know that each one of us has fucked up one way or the other, as what was his name, the one that Dostoevsky wrote, is knowing that at some point even you are a factor to the place you arrive at. And I know I am a big factor of where I am because of certain positions that I haven't still yet discovered. However, I know that every day I am the factor of where I'll be tomorrow. So what I'm doing today is important for tomorrow. And for someone else maybe, what I did today. Which is why I try to not get into toxic and caustic relationships. And if you're caustic, then try to see what calms your toxicity, your causticity, which is usually water and a great alimentation. Now, this was Prophet Moonstruck for today, as I'm searching for a new song to end this stream on. We went game theory today, we went on the great COVID debate, we went on, of course, dating and its apocalypse, as we're forgetting to get to the crux of the problem, as we're moving around it and trying not to talk about it, and we can't talk about it because so many things happen that some parties are ashamed of but still want to feel like winners, even though it's not a contest. It's just let's get this over with and don't settle. That's that's the whole crux of the situation. Don't get at the point where you got so fried up that just anything will go, I guess, because you're just gonna get at the same place once again. Because if something doesn't lower your causticity, it just makes it, for 1 second, it just interrupts the soil being burned, the base being burned, then that causticity will become great again. But what else we talked about? We talked about Tate, talked about dating apps and how they ruined the ability of people to bond, and by knowing that it is weird nowadays to actually talk face to face instead of matching up on Tinder, actually being matched up by an algorithm which is paid, which makes those persons that manage to have sex on the dating apps just prostitutes with extra steps. And I think that's my opinion on dating apps. Since I'm a little sour that Huawei decided to, let's just say, flag me and just set me in a bot designated area, even though I didn't bot. I don't know what I did at some point and just screwed up the algorithm, and I can't get in there. However, I do know that people on those apps are most likely very, very fried up with their dopamine and will require a lot of undivided attention that might never be enough. So the only thing you can get for there is just give them some attention for a certain amount of time and then just go. And go. No, just and go. And that's it. That's the apocalypse, because that's the only thing you can do nowadays with each other. This is what male and female interactions have arrived at. Now, should I do a pause and continue? I think it's enough for today. We will continue this on Tuesday or Wednesday. Still don't know. But if you are new here and you haven't subscribed at this point, you can always do that. It will help me a lot. It will help that algorithm a lot. Talk about the things that we shouldn't talk about, but it's actually required that we talk about for going further. Now, I wanted to do some of those red pill questions and answers, but I guess we can leave it for the next time, because it's getting late and I should prepare for tomorrow's work. And as I'm doing that, I'll supposed to search for a song, and I'm doing that right now. But where do I find it? I'll find it right here. As soon as I get over these. And let's see, we'll end with Aya Nakamura, Baby. That's it. Thank you very much for watching, subscribing, and liking the video, the stream. Again, if you have any questions, you can write it on the comment section, not on the chat, and we'll tackle them next time and see where we can get from there into an actual conversation, an actual leveler of going further into the future, into a hopefully prosperous future. Now, I wish you a good night, a good Sunday, a good evening, and a good week for tomorrow, because it's Monday, and who the hell likes Monday? We do. See you next time.
Tu veux tout, sans rien dire pour moi c'est chelou. Je sais pas trop ce que t'attends de moi. Hey, il veut que je fasse sa nana, me faire des mini-mois. J'ai senti ce que t'attends de moi. Moi aussi je suis dans celle-là, là. J'ai senti de loin sans mentir. On peut pas se fâcher. J'ai senti ce que t'as senti. Il veut câlin partout, partout. Veut shit tout partout, partout. Affection et tout. Entre nous c'est trop d'or, parce que je suis ça. Baby, veux devenir mon daddy. Hey, baby, veux devenir mon daddy. Y'a comme un truc qui me dérange. tes manières qui m'ont mélangé. Y'a comme un truc qui me dérangeait. De tout ça, j'ai pas l'habitude. Avec moi, tu veux te balader. Mais je sais que t'as trop kiffé. C'est pas facile, mais faut pas lâcher. Il faut que tu parles un peu. J'ai senti de loin sans mentir. On peut pas se fâcher. J'ai senti ce que t'as senti. Il veut câlin partout, partout. Veut shit tout, partout, partout. Affection et tout. Entre nous c'est trop d'or. Parce que je suis ça, baby. Veut devenir mon daddy. Hey, baby. Veut devenir mon daddy. Toi là, toi tu veux tout. Sans rien dire pour moi c'est chelou. Je sais pas trop ce que t'attends de